Dean Ambrose just destroyed WWE's entire roster with one promo. Dean Ambrose emerged from a mystery box at Elimination Chamber last night, not Jon Moxley. Dean Ambrose using his WWE name after years in AEW and delivered the most scathing, most brutal, most uncomfortable promo WWE has allowed on television in decades. He didn't just return to WWE, he declared war on the entire roster, called out Triple H's creative failures by name, and exposed that every single wrestler currently in WWE is living in the shadow of the past because WWE refuses to actually build new stars who can carry the company into the future. This wasn't a typical "I'm back and ready to compete" return promo. This was character assassination of the entire current roster. Dean spent 15 minutes systematically destroying the credibility of everyone from Roman Reigns to CM Punk to Cody Rhodes, calling them complacent, soft, and unworthy of the positions they hold. He made it clear he didn't return to WWE because he respects what they've built. He returned because someone needs to expose how mediocre the product has become and force everyone to either step up or step aside. But here's what makes this absolutely shocking: WWE allowed it. Triple H, who's been sensitive about any criticism of his creative direction, let Dean Ambrose cut a promo that essentially said WWE has been trash for years and all of you are part of the problem. That's either brilliant self-awareness that WWE needs a shake-up, or suicidal booking that just made their entire roster look inferior to someone who's been gone for 5 years working in a lesser promotion. Hit that like button and subscribe to Wrestling News CC because I'm about to break down exactly what Dean said that has the locker room in chaos, why his return might be the most controversial in WWE history, and why this promo proves WWE is either finally ready to evolve or about to implode from the tension Dean just created. Let me walk you through this nuclear bomb of a promo because every line was designed to create maximum controversy. The Elimination Chamber event is winding down. Suddenly, production cuts to a mysterious box that's been sitting on the stage all night with no explanation. The camera zooms in. The box starts shaking. The crowd is confused. Nobody knows what this is or why WWE has been building to it. Then the box explodes open and Dean Ambrose, looking wild with unkempt hair, wearing street clothes instead of gear, crawls out like he's been trapped and just escaped captivity. He grabs the nearest microphone and doesn't even wait for the crowd reaction to die down. He just starts talking with that manic energy that made him famous. You want to know where I've been? You want to know why I left this company 5 years ago and swore I'd never come back? Because WWE had become a joke. A sanitized, corporate, focus group joke where nobody was allowed to be real anymore. The crowd is stunned into silence. This isn't typical WWE-approved scripting. This feels dangerous and off-script even though it's clearly been approved at the highest levels. Dean continues, I've been watching from the outside. Watching WWE pat itself on the back for changing under Triple H, watching everyone celebrate the new era like it's something special. But you know what I see? I see the same old shit with better production values. I see Roman Reigns still protected after years at the top. I see CM Punk back for a nostalgia run that accomplishes nothing. I see Cody Rhodes living off his daddy's name instead of earning anything on his own merit. The camera cuts to backstage where wrestlers are watching monitors with their jaws dropped. Dean just called out WWE's 3 biggest stars by name and destroyed their credibility in less than a minute. And the worst part, Dean's intensity is building. All of you, every single wrestler in that locker room, you're complicit. You accepted the mediocrity. You stopped pushing. You got comfortable with your guaranteed contracts and stopped caring if the product is actually good or just good enough to maintain the status quo. He pauses, letting that sink in. I came back to WWE for one reason, to prove that everything you think you know about professional wrestling is wrong. To show that the best in the world claims that Punk makes are bullshit. To expose that Roman's untouchable aura is protection, not talent. To demonstrate that every single one of you has gotten soft and lazy because WWE doesn't demand excellence anymore, it demands compliance. The crowd is buzzing. This is the most shoot-style promo WWE has allowed in the Triple H era. It feels like Dean is breaking the fourth wall and speaking truths that usually get people fired. So here's my message to the WWE locker room. Dean's voice drops to a menacing whisper that somehow feels more dangerous than his shouting. I'm coming for all of you. Roman, you're first because you're the biggest fraud. Punk, you're next because you came back pretending you care about wrestling when you only care about your ego. Cody, you're after that because you're the symbol of everything wrong with nepotism in this business. He starts walking toward the ring. And everyone else? Every mid-card wrestler who's convinced themselves they're doing well despite never challenging the top? Every young talent who's waiting for their opportunity instead of taking it? You're all on notice. Dean Ambrose is back. And I'm going to force every single one of you to either become great or admit you're just here collecting paychecks. Dean drops the mic and stands in the ring with his arms spread, daring anyone to come confront him. The show goes off the air with that image: Dean Ambrose standing alone, having just declared war on the entire company. Here's why this promo is unprecedented and potentially dangerous for WWE. Dean didn't just cut a typical heel promo where he insults people in kayfabe ways. He made shoot-style criticisms about WWE's creative direction, roster complacency, and the protection of top stars. Those are real issues that fans have complained about for years, and WWE just put them in Dean's mouth as official programming. That creates a massive problem. How do wrestlers respond to this? If they defend themselves, they look like they're admitting Dean's right about WWE having problems. If they ignore it, they look weak for not standing up to someone who just disrespected them publicly. WWE created a no-win scenario for their roster. The locker room reaction is reportedly explosive. Some wrestlers are furious that Dean was allowed to come back and immediately shit on everyone who's been carrying the company. They feel it's disrespectful to imply they're not working hard or that they've gotten complacent. Others agree with Dean's assessment and are secretly happy someone finally said it. There's apparently been growing frustration among some roster members that WWE has stagnated creatively and relies too heavily on the same top stars. Roman Reigns is said to be particularly upset not necessarily with Dean personally, but with WWE creative for allowing Dean to call him a fraud on live television. Roman's worked incredibly hard to establish his position, and having someone return and immediately undermine it feels like a betrayal from management. CM Punk's reaction is unknown, but given his history with Dean, they were Shield brothers, and his own complicated relationship with WWE, this could go either way. Genuine heat or grudging respect for Dean's willingness to speak uncomfortable truths. Cody Rhodes is reportedly trying to handle this professionally, but there are rumblings that he's not happy about the nepotism comment since he's worked hard to establish himself independent of his family name. Here's what should happen next. Triple H should appear on Raw and address Dean's comments. He should either defend his roster and creative direction, or admit that WWE needs a shake-up and Dean's return is that catalyst. That creates clear stakes for what Dean's presence means. Multiple top stars should confront Dean in the coming weeks, forcing him to back up his trash talk with actual performances. That builds feuds with heat rather than just letting Dean's promo stand unchallenged. And most importantly, Dean needs to deliver. If he comes back and cuts this promo but then loses matches or doesn't live up to his own hype, it makes WWE look stupid for allowing him to tear down the roster. Dean needs to win and prove his criticisms had merit. My prediction? Dean has a dominant few months, beating multiple top stars to establish he wasn't just talking shit. This builds to a major match at WrestleMania, probably against Roman or Punk, where Dean either wins and proves WWE needed him to inject life into stagnant storytelling, or loses and the entire angle collapses because he couldn't back up his words. The fan reaction has been overwhelming. Social media exploded during this promo. Wrestling Twitter is divided between people who think Dean is right and WWE needed someone to call out their creative stagnation, and people who think this promo disrespects the current roster who work incredibly hard. Hashtag Dean Ambrose is trending worldwide. Videos of the promo are getting millions of views. And wrestling discourse has been dominated by debates about whether Dean's criticisms are fair or whether he's just being an asshole who left WWE and now wants to come back and tear everyone down. Drop your thoughts. Is Dean Ambrose right about WWE's current roster? Should this promo have been allowed? And who should be the first person to confront Dean about what he said? Comments below, because this is the most controversial return in years. This is Wrestling News CC, covering the shocking returns that change everything. Subscribe for continued coverage of Dean's war with WWE and whether this creates the shake-up the company desperately needs or just implodes into locker room chaos. Dean Ambrose is back. He destroyed everyone's credibility in one promo. The locker room is in chaos, and WWE either just made the boldest creative decision in years or committed suicide by letting Dean shit on their entire product. This is either brilliant or disastrous. Time will tell which. But one thing is certain: WWE will never be the same after Dean Ambrose crawled out of that box and declared war on everything. Welcome back, Dean. Now let's see if you can actually back up that nuclear promo with performances that justify WWE letting you destroy their entire roster. Hashtag Dean Ambrose, hashtag WWE, hashtag Elimination Chamber, hashtag Shocking Return, hashtag Controversial Promo, hashtag